Yeah, first, good afternoon, Mr. Professor Farid Jaeyer. Yeah, I have met you several times by webinar and also in a training. Uh, yes, on the GPP, and also afternoon, Miss Sophie and Miss Jaeyeon and all participants that attend this in this webinar meeting. My name is Keo Vanthoeun, Deputy Director of Green Economy Department of Ministry of Environment in Cambodia. So today I will present about the Green Public Procurement and Action Plan. That was that some activity has been conducted. As you have already known that the GP in Cambodia is not is starting just starting. It also slow look, yeah, in the implementation. Anyway, we try and yeah, we try to implement this activity along the uh, yeah world requirement. Anyway, yeah, in my presentation, I have some content like the policy and strategy. I mean, I just want to show you the some prepare and also develop policy and strategy that has been already prepared. Some just only in the draft, and also important policy strategy for GP in Cambodia. And we have some legislation or policy or strategy as like the Green Growth Roadmap, Circular Economy Strategy and Action Plan, the ICP Roadmap, etc. Another one is the important legislation for GVP implementation. We have in the core working group of ICP, and also we have the project implement unit. Yeah, project implement unit doesn't work. Hello, do you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, we hear you.
we can hear you.
Okay. And then the challenge and forward action, yeah, requirement and supporting. On the policy, we have several policy, but I just raise this, yeah, some policy that has main purpose related to the SDG 12 and also related to the other legislation on the environmental and human protection, like the regulation strategy plan, strategy phase 4 of Cambodia, the National Strategy Development Plan 2019 and 2023, etc. Until 15, we have the National Energy Efficiency Policy. It's only in the draft, and also the Code of Natural Resource Environment. It also in the draft. Yeah, this one. Yeah, this code we have to conduct. We have was prepared. Was prepared in 2019. Yeah, but right now it's not yet finished because of the COVID-19. This code is still in the draft. And 18, number 18 is a circular economy strategy and action plan. Is already conducted and also launched in the June and end of June this year. It's launched already. So yeah, to implement the GEP successfully in Cambodia, we have to concentrate on the main policy, or we can say the important policy for the GEP, as like the Green Growth Roadmap. In that, I just read up the important message that has been wrote in that policy as like to when we say about national strategy plan of the green growth, we plan in the 2013 to 2030, is to promote a national economy and growth stability reductions and prevention of environmental pollution, safe ecosystem, quality education, promotion of the public health service, education quality, national resource management, and the sustainable land use and water resource management, increase energy efficiency, ensuring food safety, and glorify the national culture. Even though in the roadmap it has been declared on the environmental pollution and safe ecosystem that are related to the uh, related to human behavior recently. This is kind of important that's related also related to the GP action because it also related it involved it's linked to the environmental protection. I mean, we have to know how to reduce the waste and how to recycle waste, and all stakeholder and focal point of the ministry in Cambodia have to concentrate on this situation as that declare in the circular economy. So I just this context I just raise up on only the objective in the strategy as I first increase sustainable production and energy use. Second, increase sustainable consumption. 3, reduce waste generation at source. Improve effectiveness of the waste collection management integration and transport. Promote product use and repair, increase recycling, composting, and energy recovery. Ensure environmental control at the waste management side. Promote widespread environmental education and awareness. So in this strategy has been raised or also introduced or any declare the responsibility of each ministry. In example, if we want to concentrate on energy, the ministry it is the responsibility of the Ministry of Energy and of energy, etc. Because when we said about energy in this circular economy, they mean we have to convert the waste to energy. So we this one has provide responsibility to each ministry in Cambodia. And also the natural resource code is also important and declare in some in some article in that in that code. When we say about the promotion sustainable consumption production, we have the article one article that declare that the ministry and institution responsible for environment with endorsement of the National Council for Sustainable Development shall coordinate with other relevant ministry or institution to develop relevant policy document or sustainable consumption such as policy document shall include but not be limited to a program to improve environmental performance consumption pattern, including through the increasing supply and demand for more environmentally friendly products, services, and technology, etc. And policy engage to the private sector civil society organization, the relevant ministry or institution, and civilian citizen, and promote more resource efficiency and less environmentally damaging consumption, including but not limited to areas of water energy consumption, hazardous waste generation, waste management, tourism, and infrastructure development. This article is declared similar. It also it also linked or related to the SDG 12. Yeah, because when we say about the energy consumption and hazardous waste creation or waste management also declared in the SDG 12. Yeah. And another one is related to the production. Yeah, so I did not. I would like to leave that slide. I move another slide. Is section 2 is sustainable product procurement. Yeah, they mean in that article also declare clearly about instrument on sustainable procurement. I mean we also the Cambodian also want to upgrade or want to implement the sustainable procurement as well. Yeah, this session and also article also mention the National Council for Sustainable Development in cooperation with Ministry responsible for economy and finance shall develop a legal instrument on sustainable procurement, focusing on inclusion of environmental criteria during the process of procuring goods, service, work, and utility, while achieve value of money on the whole life cycle basis on a minimize the environmental burden for consumption and facilitate demand environmentally friendly product and services. So when we say about product and services, it is the new procurement of yeah of the world, yeah, of the union right now, because any process and sold and should be require acquisition of the goods and services. Yeah, because we related to concentrate on the yeah, green development as well. So another one is a kind of another policies that are related to the SCP roadmap. They mean sustainable consumption production roadmap. It already it 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 is preparing. So maybe it will be launched at the end of this year, or yeah, early of next year, because this roadmap is or was conduct a consultation already, and any comment is in preparing. So I just rest on this one, just only the vision and mission. Yeah, the vision is of this roadmap is want to develop all social and economic sector in Cambodia toward the harmonized and sustainable future for every citizen, good environment and strong ecosystem. To promote sustainable consumption and production for product and services which protect the environment and social welfare while improving business competition and innovation. So, as this vision here in the Cambodian also want to promote the innovation, because a new generation will they have any good idea and opinion for innovation to reduce to reduce the waste or something, especially the harmful product, they, and they can create another invention that can be sell the world or any environment. For the mission, it declared that to create a guidance and direction for the public sector, private sector, academic, civil society, and development partner to consider the economic, social, and environmental development with a new way to living required to realize sustainable consumption and production in Cambodia. So this one, the mission we work together, with any partner, to promote and also to uh, improve the SCP in Cambodia. Another one when we say about the to support the any action related to SDG 12, or we always say that the SDG of the sustainable consumption and production. The Ministry of Cambodian has been the Ministry of the Ministry of Environment technical working group of SCP. I mean, among of these members, we have 12 line ministry and institution, line 13 line ministry and 24 members. So the mean in among the 24 members, there are 12 institutions. Mostly the institution is like National Council for Sustainable Development, etc. The second, the TO, the main TO of this working group is to coordinate and participate in the consultation for development roadmap, policy guideline, and method strategy action plan for sustainable consumption production. So with this TO, the technical working group has been work has been worked successfully on some activities, as like this working group has also provided some comment or any feedback or suggestion on the the work plan. The work plan was is conducted by GIZ in Thailand, and right now this technical working group also the main task force can consult many various policy like circular economy. They also participate in consultation, and also SCP roadmap. They also participate in this for the consultation. Anyway, recently, we have currently we have the MOU with the GIZ in Thailand. Also the GIZ in Phnom Penh. To conduct a GPP in Cambodia, but maybe related only to the policy. And to conduct this activity fruitfully, the ministry, the MOE leader, and also NCSD leader as well, they propose team of work, like we call it, the project implement unit. That it is a team of work of Ministry of Industrial Science, Technology, Innovation, and also with the Ministry of Economy and Finance. Yeah, they work together to consult only the GPP policy. Yeah. So the main TO in this working group, it is a task force. Just only to we prepare the annual action plan. They already prepare to implement the project on the green public procurement and environmental label. Yeah, study and evaluate priority area for implementation of on GPP, which focus on green public procurement mechanism and eco label, and consult and policy advice related to the regulation label, etc. So I mean that this team of work, yeah, we have three like this: Ministry of Environment, or NCSD, Ministry of Industrial Science, Technology, Innovation, and also yeah. Yeah, fortunately in Cambodia we have a law of procurement, but yeah, that law only related to only the processing process of the product, not related to the green green procurement. I mean, we're not we can buy and procure anything, but not the green content is not green content is not declared in their law, yeah, of public procurement. Yeah, so I will leave this one. Yeah, for the challenge and yeah, forward activity. So the challenge in Cambodian, we have the GP is the new concept in Cambodian, which is not easy to implement. Also, some report has been study in Cambodian context. They declare that it's, yeah, they declare like this. But even though, yeah, our team, our PIU, yeah, will try our best to conduct GPP in Cambodian. As anyway, we can develop the policy on the GP, yeah, or GP or GP roadmap in Cambodia. Yeah, do not have any policy legislation guideline aligned with the GP in Cambodia. So we don't have, yeah, don't have that one. And Cambodia is another country affected by the COVID, affected by COVID-19 pandemic. Then the GP implementation will be difficult, yeah, proceeding. Yeah, this one like sometimes we need to discuss with direct with international expert or any expert, but difficult. Yeah, we have to meet them online, something like this, and also the training also through online. Yeah, they are difficult for us that by the COVID-19. Lack of expert and technical staff for GP. So due to the now we don't have any expert, yeah, for that one. Yeah, there is no engagement of the private sector and stakeholder in GP. Yeah, for what activity. So anyway, even we have any challenge or any issue, we try to work our best to for this activity. Like we right now, the PIU member PIU decision was was endorsed by Minister of Ministry of Environment. Yeah, and anyway, we will work with national consultant, yeah, for baseline study on GP in Cambodia. And fortunately, she is in Thailand and in Phnom Penh. Yeah, has announced for the national consultant, but this national consultant is not on board yet. pilot study for GP implementation Cambodian. Yeah, with the national consultant, I hope that the policy pilot study for the GP will be conducted. Yeah, in the next future. Review procurement law. Yeah, it is the task of the national consultant. That with that one, the consultant will present for the PIU member. The PIU member will provide some comment or any idea to revise again or something like this. It depends on to the task of the national consultant in Cambodia. Anyway, we have some requirement and support from yeah, Sophie. Yeah, example, Sophie. Yeah, because after we have known that GSZ is got active member for the GP, but right now it's still slow as for my consideration. So to speed up this one, yeah, we raise some requirement as follow. Yeah, we have a technical support from GIZ to implement GP and collaborate in Cambodia, as in MOU in 4 February 2021. But either finance and technical support are not most essential factor for me, and this lead to implement activity for site. Yeah, discuss dissemination with all stakeholders and TWG SCP as well for engagement on GP. So we also need the fund or any budget to conduct this one. Support the consultation meeting workshop ICP, TWG ICP, assisting on national training for the GP implementation with stakeholder. Yeah, so we need some this one example, some focal point of the GP has been trained. So this will be a TOG and to train any stakeholder that to improve GP in Cambodia. Supporting the seminar and national forum which align ministry leader for the decision on GP implementation in Cambodia. Develop GP framework in Cambodia. Yeah, anyway, thank you for listening my presentation. Yeah, so it's over to over to you, Sophie. My presentation is finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Keo. Now, as we're running a bit late, I will give the floor right now to Ms. Chandima. Ms. Chandima, we cannot hear you yet. I see you have unmuted yourself. Yes, hi.
Hello. Yes, hope you can see me.
We can hear you very well, yes. Can you just please closer to your phone and a bit louder? I am sharing your presentation, so you can start now.
Okay, thank you. Yes, good morning, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, just a bit louder, please.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, Dr. Farid, Dr. Keo, Ms. Sophie, and Ms. Choi, and all the attendees of this presentation. First of all, I would like to say that I'm very glad to present you all about our GPP achievements, but at the outset, I must say that our program is in the very initial stage. So we have a long way to travel to achieve the benefit of the GPP implementation. So joining this network is a kind of blessing for us since we need to be aware about what happening in other countries and what are the challenges they face, and to identify the success stories to and also to take them as the lesson learned and move forward with the possible solutions which can arise in the future. So thank you very much on behalf of the ministry for allowing us to be a part of the network as well as to present these achievements to you. I would like to move to the next slide. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, the GPP in our country is still in a very initial stage. We have formulated green procurement policy, and we could validate it with the stakeholders. And now we are getting ready to publish for the public comments. So this policy will be a mandatory requirement. So all the public authorities, including the central government agencies such as ministries, department, and local authorities, and also the semi-government agencies have to adopt this policy. And also it will be a stepwise program. You may know that introducing of GPP is a kind of time-consuming and complicated, especially for the country like us, because our whole system, including the public sector and private sector, have to be transformed. And also, it would not happen overnight, and so that we have to move forward gradually. So that at the beginning we may select few products and service categories and develop few flexible criteria as well as implement with the parallel pilot projects. So, and also the whole public procurement system will not be transformed to the green. Instead of that, the GPP will be incorporated as one of the components of the public procurement system. And also the National Framework on Eco-Labeling has a new program. We introduced it last year as a complementary program in a voluntary basis. And this program is also not in the implementation stage yet. I will explain this program in my future slide a bit more. I will give more information about that. And in the next slide, hello? Yes, thank you. In the next slide, this slide, I would talk about a little bit about our milestone. As you see, the concept was first introduced in 2012, and we could receive the approval of the Cabinet of Ministers in the same year. Since we had to have had a series of consultations and take certain initial action, it took around 2 years to develop the zero draft, and then we could get the service of a well-experienced consultant in 2015 with the technical assistance of the Switch Asia SCP National Policy Support Component, which was operated under the ministry at the moment. And in the same year, a new government was appointed, and they established a National Procurement Commission as the independent body, which was responsible for the public procurement. According to the 19th Amendment of the Constitution. Actually, before that Procurement Commission, the procurement-related responsibilities were under the Department of Public Finance and the Ministry of Finance. The commission came into the operation in 2016, and we forward the policy for their consideration. Before that, we could validate the policy, and then we handed that policy to the NPC for their consideration. And also, at the same time, they are in the process of revising the public procurement guidelines and manuals, which are the guiding documents of our public procurement system. And they greatly considered about this policy, and they included it as in a dedicated chapter 15, and published for the public information in 2018 and as well as in 2019. And at the same time, we were in the discussion to get the approval of the cabinet jointly with the Procurement Commission. Then in 2019, we could develop a national institutional mechanism for the policy. And in 2020, we could get the approval of the National Procurement Commission for the policy as well as for the institutional mechanism. But in the same year, the National Procurement Commission was dissolved by the 20th Amendment to the Constitution by the current government, which was appointed in 2020. And public procurement responsibilities again shifted to the Ministry of Finance. So immediately we started to work with them to get their consent to the policy. And so we could get that consent in this year, early in this year. Now we are taking the actions to publish the policy for public comments, and we look forward to complete it before this year, most probably within the next month. And also in 2020, we could develop a national framework for eco-labeling and also validated it with the main stakeholders, including the Sri Lanka Accreditation Board and the Sri Lanka Standard Institution. And up to now, then in relation to the COVID-19 impacts on GPP was not very much obvious in this stage. But we have to delay some activities due to the lockdown and quarantine programs, but we have almost achieved our annual targets as we planned at the beginning. These are our milestones in brief. Then in the next slide, yes, this slide I present you because I thought thought to give you a brief introduction about our eco-labeling framework. Up to now, we still have we have not nationally accepted eco-label in Sri Lanka, but fortunately there are some initiations on the rise. For example, the National Clean Production Center has introduced an eco-label for the dairy sector. So while developing the policy, we could identify some challenges, such as how to identify the reliable eco products and with the higher demand by the public organizations, and how to develop the GPP criteria on these product standards, certifications, so and so. Especially at the time we will introduce the GPP, we should have some reliable products with the reliable certifications in our hand to start with and demonstrate the public sector. Otherwise, they may cause it may cause some kind of failure in the system. So one option we had is to give a national recognition to the existing reliable certification and labeling schemes under one national platform, and also introduce a generic eco label later. So we thought that introducing a general eco label immediately would be a kind of challenging, as some of the gaps are still in our system in relation to the certification, standardization, and the tools such as life cycle assessment, so and so. Then in this point of view, we develop a mechanism which is in the left side of the slide. So what we are going to do first is conduct a thorough comprehensive market survey to identify green sustainable product certification, standard regulations, and all the information we can collect from the existing system. And then actually this is a very comprehensive survey, and we are now working on this currently as an ad hoc program with some cities, and they show a very great interest on this survey. And after collecting this information, we will analyze them, and we will develop the framework criteria based on the outcome of this analysis. So the certifications, guidelines, regulations, all the matters could be the base for this criteria. And after formulation and formalizing the national framework criteria, we can operate the framework So then we can invite the certification bodies, team owners to submit their applications, and then we can evaluate them and give the recommendations. Based on the recommendation, we can grant the approval for the qualified schemes. Then we can register them in the framework, and we hope to, we expect to introduce an eco-label directory, and also promote the programs, promote the schemes, and then monitor the schemes annually or biannually, or as it decided by the experts later. Then in the right side, I want to explain a bit about how it relates with the GPP implementation. Since the framework criteria is the base for the framework recognition for the eco-labeling and certification schemes, the products and services certified, mostly the products certified under these schemes can be taken as the green products, the sustainable products. And also the framework criteria would be the base for, more or less base for the specification and standards of GPP, so that the green product could be, will be compatible with these framework criteria, as well as to the GPP's standards, so that procuring officers can easily identify the green products for their procurement process. Yes. Then I will move to the next slide. Yes. From this slide onward, I would like to explain a little bit about the contents in this GPP policy. Actually, the policy is a bit comprehensive, and it is very informative. So I selected few points from that policy to give you some kind of idea about it. And so this policy has 8 categories of the statements. The first category is defining and listing goods, works, and services. The first category is defining and listing of goods. Under this, we have to introduce user-friendly methodologies to identify green products by the officials in procuring entities. It is a must. And the awareness on green actually would be very insufficient, so that the framework recognition for the eco-labeling, the labeling system would be very much supportive to identify that green products. And also an eco-label, this eco-label directory will be published by the ministry with related information about the green products. And the second one is the GPP standards and specifications. We have to develop them, and as I mentioned earlier, framework criteria would be the base for developing these standards and specifications. So it is this standards and specifications and framework criteria will be very closely interlinked. And this policy seeks to introduce national standards and eco-labels, which are already recognized strategy under the framework. And also, especially, we focus on strengthening the standards and accreditation system. Stakeholders such as Sri Lanka Standard Institution and Sri Lanka Accreditation Board will be the main stakeholders of this framework, and because they are involving here, they can support to strengthen the standards and accreditation system in the country. We have to incorporate GPP into public procurement guidelines, manuals, and documents, the standard bidding documents. Here, the Ministry of Finance is the main player in the public procurement in our country. So they operate the GPP guidelines, manuals, and so that they will be responsible for incorporating the GPP into this document, and we will provide them the necessary standards, guidelines, all the things we develop to implement this initiative. And also the Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Environment has the joint responsibility to incorporate things into the policy, into the documents. So the next slide. In the next slide, I briefly introduce the next category. It is awareness creation, knowledge management, and capacity building. Actually, we have to make available the information on green products, and in this purpose, policy recommend to develop an eco-product directory, which will be the main outcome of the eco-labeling framework. And also, we need to establish a robust mechanism for the information dissemination for both of these initiatives, both of the programs. In relation to the GPP, information dissemination mechanism will include a citizen advisory bureau, knowledge hub, e-procurement system, websites, and reports. The story behind that citizen advisory bureau is actually we know that the GPP should be penetrated to the local level, to the ground level. So there should be a very strong network in the local among the local authorities to keep to make them aware, to give some solutions for their issues and build their capacity like that. So the Citizen Advisory Bureau is actually not a physical establishment. It is a kind of existing network among the local level public officials such as national productivity officers. So we have to train them during the implementation. And the knowledge hub is a kind of, it is a room for the discussions and to disseminate information. It is also not a physical establishment. And the e-procurement system, we already, that e-procurement system has already established under the Ministry of Finance, but up to now we are not, we cannot include our GPP since we are not in the implementation stage, but there is a great interest in the Ministry of Finance, as well as we have interest, and we are discussing to incorporate this GPP into the procurement system in the future. And the websites and reports will be very important. Then in relation to the mechanism for information management in eco-label framework, we will develop an eco-label directory, and we may develop some websites and reports. But not only these things, we may have a good effective mechanism for the implementation. And also the knowledge and skill development of the local stakeholder and community has been identified as a very important strategy. And for this, we will establish the Citizen Advisory Bureau, and also the training and capacity development of all the stakeholders in the system. So also through the eco-labeling framework, the awareness creation of the consumers, industry sector, public sector, academic, and all the stakeholders will be aware through the eco-label framework as well. In my next slide, the legal mechanism, actually, which is very, very important for the GPP, we have identified that, but there is no any procurement law up to now in the country. The public procurement guidelines and manuals supplementary to the financial regulations provide the legal background at the moment, and there are some other legal tools such as bribery offense, financial regulations, Article 12(1) of the Constitution, but they are all indirectly they use but not directly related to the procurement law. And also there is a blacklisting procedure, a complaint procedure, but the expert says that they have some gaps and inefficiencies, so that the policy mentions that the existing legal framework need to be reviewed and make necessary reforms and amendments. In parallel, the gaps and burdens in relation to the product certification and label also will be reviewed and amended. So in the monitoring, verification, evaluation, reporting, we know that the monitoring is also very important to achieve our targets, to drive this towards the success. But we have some gaps related to the baseline information. So we may have to conduct some surveys to collect this information to set the baseline indicators. For this, actually, we need to develop comprehensive indicator system for both the supply, considering both the supply and demand side. To develop this indicator and monitoring, we need to develop the impact. We need to have a method of impact quantification so that the eco-labeling framework will support to develop, to introduce some tools for the impact quantification. Sometimes we may need the assistance of the GPP network to develop indicators. Suppose the MAPS framework could be used as a guide for this. And reporting and obtaining the feedback also strategies under the both programs as well as mechanism has been proposed up to now for the monitoring mechanism, but still in this draft stage. Then in my next slide, yes, the institutional mechanism, another important strategy, and the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Environment are the key main actors of the GPP implementation. Under the Ministry of Environment, GPP Secretariat or dedicated unit will be established. And also for the eco-labeling framework, the Ministry of Environment will act.
Can you go back? Excuse me. There's this is the wrong slide. Can you go back to institutional mechanism? Thank you.
Okay. For the Ministry of Environment, in the eco-labeling framework, Ministry of Environment will act as the implementing agency, and our division, Environment Planning and Economics division, will play as the secretariat for that. And in relation to the GPP, Interagency Expert Committee will be established. The role of this committee is to actually to collect the information, to conduct the surveys, market surveys, to prioritize the products and services, and to develop the GPP criteria, standards, and specifications. And also in parallel to that, the multi-stakeholder technical committee will be established under the eco-labeling framework. So they are the committee who will develop the framework criteria. So both the committees can work together very closely to make a common outcome which could be important for the GPP implementation as well as for the eco-labeling framework. Then the Citizen Advisory Bureau, as I think I explained it before, and the training institutions, public institutions, industries, and network among the relevant stakeholders and professional bodies will be the components under this institutional mechanism. And also the regulatory bodies, especially we need to get involved the existing regulatory bodies such as Export Development Board, Central Environment Authority, Central Consumer Affairs Authority, Central Sustainable Energy Authority, all the regulatory bodies to these two programs. And also academic universities and industry sector representatives and expert forum under the eco-label framework. This is just like the expert forum is the room for is the discussion platform under this framework. And we want to ensure that the multi-stakeholder engagement, networking, and cross-collaboration with the stakeholders both the programs. In the next slide, yes, it is to facilitate the local producers. We know that the facilitation of local producers has a great attention in the cabinet approval. They have to be encouraged through the GPPs, especially the SMEs. Generally, they have limited access to finance, resources, and information compared to the larger companies. We know very well that. Therefore, the transformation also would be challenging. And also the current COVID-19 pandemic hit them very worstly. But positively, just like other countries, Sri Lanka, the government is thinking of promoting the local production for the self-sufficiency. We seek to facilitate them financially and non-financially while promoting their best practices, promote the networking as well as other strategies such as capacity building, training, and especially along with the eco-labeling framework, as I mentioned. And other than that, the GPP program seeks to promote and build the local capacity of the accreditation and certification systems through the eco-labeling framework. Then in the next slide, I mention about the financial mechanism. We need to develop a mechanism with the support of Ministry of Finance. We should identify how to utilize the taxes and levies on environment impacts back to promote the greening of industries and provide the financial incentives for them while encouraging them to green. And we expect to get the financial organization, just like banking sector, to support the industry greening and upgrade their product standards, as well as sometimes we may need their assistance for the public sector as well. Then the international cooperation. Actually, this is joining the network is one of the great achievement in this category. We hope to disseminate our information about our environmental obligations, compliances, and demonstrate our best practices with the region and global level, as well as to share our experience and also take some lessons from the other countries to build up our program more robustly. With this slide, in these slides, I explain briefly about our GPP policy. And in the next slide, I would like to tell you about some challenges we have identified up to now. Yes, these are the key challenges we have identified during our brainstorming sessions, discussions, and which may cause some kind of burdens to implement the GPP. First one is lack of tools to identify green goods, works, and services, and lack of awareness and capacity building of stakeholders, especially the public sector awareness is very important on the green standards and certification like that. And also challenges for the industry sector to transformation, especially for the SMEs, and inadequate availability of green goods and alternatives. And I kept this perfect in different colors since these challenges can be addressed by the co-labeling framework. Then financial constraint to the public sector to meet the initial purchasing cost is another challenge. Apart from the general situation, we know that the COVID-19 has been impacted badly on our economies and the public finance. So definitely the initial cost could be very high in the implementation stage. Then the inadequate basic statistic and information on greening as well as the public procurement too. Therefore, we consider greatly about them from the outset and to identify some strategies to reduce these burdens. And in my last slide, yes, this is our future plan. First, we need to publish our policy for the public domains, which is already being done with the Ministry of Finance. More probably, we can get the public comments within next month. And after incorporating these comments, we will hand the both programs over to the cabinet approval. And also, we expect to develop action plans or an overall action plan for the both programs based on the future discussions. And meanwhile, we look forward to conduct surveys and implement pilot projects on both programs because we need to develop GPP standards for the selected product categories and need to test the effectiveness of our approaches and strategies. And also we need some kind of data to demonstrate other sectors. So we may need your support of this network widely in the future in regards, especially in terms of the expertise and technology. So with this slide, I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chandima, for this comprehensive presentation. I believe we have received a few questions through the chat box for you. So a first question from Mr. Guy Hoffman was, in the first slide, you wrote that GPP became mandatory, and he would be grateful if you could please explain what you meant by that.
Complement. Yes, our GPP will be complementary because all the public organizations have to adopt this policy when we come to the implementation stage. The things with there may be a challenge for some organizations to implement it as a complementary initiative. Because we know the capacities of the local authorities and the local institution can be very insufficient. That's why we keep the program as a stepwise implementation, stepwise program in the future. The complementary mean all the government institutions have to adopt GPP.
Okay, and did you receive any support? And how did you? Yes, Farid.
Sorry, yeah, if we could close the presentation and then
Sure.
have the camera, the video on for Chandima.
Yes, sir.
If you could turn on your camera, would be great. We see you when you respond.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you clarify, you know, what you mean by mandatory? What will be mandatory to the purchasing of the prioritized products and the use of the criteria that will be defined for public authorities? What is the level of mandatory or the scope?
I think the public this policy will be incorporated into the public procurement guidelines and manuals.
Okay.
And the manuals and guidelines are it is a mandatory regulatory tools in our country. So if we include this, yes, in the documents, we have to. Okay.
That's very good, point that it will be included in the public procurement guidelines, actually, which is a strong point of your policy, and this is mandatory for implementation. Thank you very much. So, any other question, Sophie?
Yes. So how did you develop the GPP criteria?
Actually, at the moment. Yes, at the moment we are not in that process, but what we have planned that first we have to identify what are the products and services which are consumed by the government as a priority products. Then we have to conduct the market survey. And after selecting the prioritized products and services, we have to consider about their certifications, their standards, and their level of reliability, like that. That's why we thought to develop the eco-labeling framework, because conduct a very thorough survey in the market to analyze the existing certification and standards. Then based on that framework criteria, we can develop criteria for the GPP.
Sophie, I think there is
I
a
think
question on who is supporting you right now, Chandima, and if you could turn on your video, it would be great, if you can, if you have enough
yes,
bandwidth, because we don't see you for the moment.
okay. Can you see now? Yes.
Ah, yeah, now we
Yes.
see you. Good. So there's a question, and who is supporting you? Do you get support from any, like in Cambodia, GIZ? Are you getting support from any international cooperation
No, at the
organization?
moment, we have no any support received, but in 2015, we got the support from Swiss Asia GPP policy support, national policy support component. But at the moment, we have not received any support from any organization. Actually, we have identified that we need some kind of support from the financially, technically, with your expert knowledge to build up a program in
Yeah,
the future.
thank you.
So yes,
Good.
especially we hope to implement pilot projects parallel to this to the implementation of the GPP policy in at the beginning, because we know that we have some products which says that they are green and sustainable, but the reliability of this product is have some kind of doubt. So, and also we need to analyze the public demand for that product, so that we need to conduct one or few pilot projects to develop the criteria for the GPP. So we expect to have financial and technical support from the organizations, actually.
Thank you, Chandima. There's a question from Nidhi, our friend Nidhi Gupta, who's asking you, how can we access the GPP policy? Will it be publicly available, accessible?
Not at the moment, because we can publish it after
Approval from
the
cabinet. Yeah, I guess. Right. Okay, so it will be consulted by stakeholders. There will be a consultation phase, and then approval, and then it will be then made public. Okay.
Yes.
Jing Wang, our friend Jing Wang from China, is asking, how is the implementation result, such as how many kinds of products category or others? Thank you. I think we're not there yet, Jing. We're still at the development of the policy, but this is the objective. Maybe you can tell us how you will go about it, Chandima.
Yes. Hello?
Yes, please go ahead. In terms of how many product categories you plan to prioritize, for example?
At the moment, because we have to do a survey in the public sector to identify what are the product categories actually they use have a higher demand, and also we need to identify their certifications and standards. Then only we can prioritize the product in the government sector. And after that, we can categorize them. At the moment, we have not identified any categories of service.
Thank you. And then a similar question, I guess, from our friend Anthony Chu, who is asking, are there already some outstanding products being procured within this GPP system? Any existing eco-labels?
Actually, not because of GPP, but one thing we have observed that because in our country, like other countries, the product greening is on the rise now. So, such as let's say the bulbs, we know that LED bulbs are now replaced replaced with the fluorescent bulbs. And so there are so many green products available in the markets, so that some government agencies procure that kind of green things no, actually, it is not guided by the guidelines or manuals. They have included these things into their specifications, and then they prioritize that green things in their process. It is very institutional level, it's not the national level. Hello?
Yeah, I think you have a issue of connection. Maybe you will have to turn off your video to increase the bandwidth. It's okay.
You didn't get my answer, I think. You
Yeah, can you
got
repeat?
my answer? Yes, but I said that in the market, just like other countries, we have some green products available. So that some public institutions have included their green considerations in their specifications. Actually, not directed by the guidelines or manuals. Because of their interest, they have included these things in their specifications, and they prioritize that green goods in their public procuring.
That's very interesting. They're shortcutting
Yes.
the policies, and they're going straight to the market, checking
That
the
is
market, and because the legal framework allows it, right? They have the ability to include green
because
certifications.
the specifications can be developed by themselves.
Okay. Excellent. We have a question on how many other ministries took part in the development of the GPP policy document.
I can't remember the actual number, but
approximately.
Ministry of Industries are there. The Ministry of Finance already there because they are the co-player of this process. And other than that, Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Power and Energy, Ministry of Science and Technology, like that, many ministries are involved there with their agencies. I can't remember actually the exact number.
Thank you. We have a comment from Sena Peris, who is saying that there is a green product certification program for selected building materials under the Green Building Council of Sri Lanka.
Yes. Yes, they have green building guidelines developed for the considering the green construction products and services. But sorry, can I please repeat the question?
It's not a question; it's just an observation, comment.
Yes.
That there is a green product certification program for selected building materials. The Green Building Council of Sri Lanka.
Yes, in the eco-labeling framework, when we're developing the eco-label framework, we are going to collect all this information available in the country, and we will analyze them, and we are going to categorize these existing certifications and standards into 3 categories based on their level of certification. For example, if we have eco-labels, we categorize them as the category 1, high-level category, and if some kind of product is available with the green incorporated in a single step in life cycle, then we can get them as the lower category like that, but we will give them some kind of recognition. So under that schemes, we can select the product. So that guidelines and regulations like that, we can incorporate very easily to this framework. So it is actually very great. Yes.
Yes, there is a comment from Jing, who is saying that, and she's observing that if GPP policy is mandatory, there would be, we would need to have product availability at first. Are you conscious of that?
Yes, actually, that's why I told that since this is mandatory, we have to be flexible when we selecting the products and service categories. Otherwise, it may make a great failure from the beginning. so that we see that's and also the framework, the eco-labeling framework will give us the great support to identify what are the products with the reliable certification and standards. So we can select one or maybe few products at the beginning, and we may develop flexible criteria to begin with, and then with the improvement of the system we can incorporate other advanced things into the GPP process.
Thank you. I think Sena, do you want to take the floor? Sena Paris? And ask your question. Sena?
Yes, just 1 minute. I will give the floor to Sena.
To see Chandima actually making the presentation. I think as a person who was involved in the GPP program from the very beginning, I would like to say that initially actually we did some even the categorization of products also, but unfortunately due to certain changes we had to give it up and then develop the policy. So the policy is now ready almost I think 2-3 years. Due to certain changes, we have to actually wait for the approval from the government, from the cabinet. And once the approval is done, I'm sure we can move fast. Under Switch Asia Policy Support Component, we even had a market readiness program that was from 2015 to 2019. Unfortunately, the program is over now. At the moment, there is a sort of as stagnant, the market readiness program is stagnant, but hope once the policy is approved that we'll be able to continue with this market readiness programs. And there are many companies who have already switched to green products even without eco-labeling because of the demand from the export market. And we hope that we'll be able to move into that level quickly.
Great. Thank you very much for this. Thank you for this useful comment. Sophie, we still have time, or do we have to conclude?
Well, we can conclude, I think.
Great. Well, thanks a lot. It was a very useful, very informative session. Thank you. I'm sorry that we didn't have questions for Cambodia, but Dr. Keo spoke first, so the interest, I guess, shifted to the second presentation, which also is, it seems that Sri Lanka is also more advanced. But Cambodia, I think, was really interesting to hear. And we're really pleased to see the great progress achieved compared to a few years back. And you, Dr. Keo, when you were first attending the GPP trainings in the Asia Pacific GPP eco-labeling network a few years back, we can see really that you have made really a great progress, and you're headed on the path to GPP to GPP implementation. I really appreciated the fact that now you're establishing a policy framework. You have a conducive and enabling policy framework, and so you're having the first storing being built. The foundations are being built through the national policy on green growth, the circular economy strategy, the natural resource and environment code with its section on sustainable procurement. You have also calls for the development of a legal instrument on sustainable procurement. You have an SCP roadmap with an establishment of the technical working group on SCP. You have put in place a GPP implementation unit with the support of GIZ. Interministerial also committee is in place to prepare then green public an action plan on green public procurement, so which is a requirement of SDG 12.7. So and we look forward to receiving to your and reading the baseline study on GPP, the pilot study for GPP implementation, and the legal review. So congratulations. I think you're on the right track, and we are available, and I guess all the members of the network to provide you any support you need. Sri Lanka also, congratulations. I was also there, I think at the onset of your GPP efforts, and the first the initial measures and activities you carried out to embark on GPP. I was there. I could see your motivation, and happy to see that you're really fully dedicated and committed, and it's starting to bear fruits. So we really also look forward to seeing the policy. Happy to see that it will be included in the public procurement guidelines. That's very important also. That it will be also coupled with the national framework for eco-labeling. We cannot walk if we don't have two legs. If we don't walk on two legs, like we see in China, Japan, Korea, etc., GPP has to be completely aligned and complemented by the eco-labeling framework. So we are also happy to see that you have putting emphasis on the institutional mechanism. And in terms of policy, that you will be selecting products, that you have also thinking about awareness creation, knowledge management, capacity building, that you also plan to work on the legal mechanism to analyze the gaps that need to be filled, and that you have a monitoring section. Please include also the need to comply with 12.7, SDG 12.7. I'm sure Sophie will be happy to support you on that. She's being our big guru, on 12.7. Then institutional mechanism I mentioned already. It's great that you have. It seems like you have a great collaboration with Ministry of Finance. That's very important. And then you're associating a great diversity of stakeholders, and we really appreciate also the fact that you're looking at the market, at the productive sector, and thinking about supportive measures like in the financial mechanism, involving the banking sector also, and of course international cooperation. Thanks also for mentioning your challenges, the identification of goods, the financial constraints, the statistics, and there we can also support you on the monitoring part. So we wish you all the best for the future approval of and development of the plan, and then future approval by the cabinet. And we look forward to hearing from you. And please feel free and to contact us, since we are here to support you also with the other members and with KEITI, the co-lead of our network. Thank you.
Thank you, Farid. I believe we had a short comment from Dr. Keo. Dr. Keo, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you very much for all participants, and especially for Dr. Yaker and Ms. Sophie Lauren, that support for this webinar presentation, and this is the good chance for Cambodian to express our commitment to conduct or to implement the GPP in Cambodia. Even it is the first step, or it is the first chance for Cambodian to participate in the GPP, but we will try our best, and we will cooperate with other ministry, with the land ministry, as any task force that we have, and also we will cooperate with all international experts from GIZ or from other sector as well, to improve the GP in Cambodia. And please keep support for Cambodian to improve GPP, because without any support from the international expert, Cambodian will not be able to conduct the GPP fruitfully and which related to the international context. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Sophie, I think we will take a picture, a group picture. So if you can turn on your video, everyone, for the group picture. Thank you, all attendees. Thank you. Attendees, please. We want to see you.
And
pictures.
attendees can't activate their cameras,
Ah,
so
okay, we
we'll
cannot
have,
allow.
yes, we'll have speakers
Okay.
for now.
All right. So thanks a lot, Chandima. Chandima is not here anymore, I think. Okay.
Maybe she disconnected, I think.
All right, so you can take
Thanks,
the picture.
yeah.
Thank you. Bye,
Sure.
everyone, and see you in the next session. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Jaeyeon.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.